I'm gonna go ahead and just get us started just with some quick housekeeping. If everyone can remain on mute until you are asked to speak, that would be ideal, just so we can make sure to not have any background sound. I'm gonna introduce Mallory Lawson, who is our chair of the evening event, but also the chair of our Artomatic participation this year. So Mallory, if you'd like to take it away and get us started, that would be wonderful.
Sure. Thank you all so much for joining us for our first ever online awards presentation for the Top 10 Artomatic 2020 Craft Artists, sponsored by the James Renwick Alliance. I think everybody here knows what the James Renwick Alliance is, although there might be a few people who don't. So in order to find out about it, I'm going to turn it over to our fearless leader. Michelle Minot was elected as our president in September of 2018. She's been on the board since 2014 and collects American craft and contemporary art from Latin America. Take it away, Michelle.
Thank you very much, and good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here and taking part of your summer Friday evening with us. I think most everyone who is with me on the screen anyway, most all of you know about the JRA, but I think there might be a few who've joined who are here because they love Artomatic and they're exploring Artomatic. So I just wanted to make a couple of mentions of what the JRA is. JRA is a nonprofit organization that is dedicated to developing and deepening connoisseurship of American craft art. We achieve that through public programs, educational trips that are both domestic and international, through publications, including our quarterly, the JRA Quarterly. This is the current issue, which you receive when you are a contributing member at a certain level. And we also put a lot of value on the recognition of excellence, achievement and excellence in the field. And that is what this evening is about. This is a renewal, a reconnection for the JRA with Artomatic. And of course, the first time Artomatic is coming to its public virtually. But I'm very, very delighted that we are part of Artomatic this year. I think we're the only organization of its kind to sponsor it. And I really have to give great thanks to Mallory Lawson and her committee for championing this and doing the hard work to bring us here tonight. Part of what we always do at the JRA is we try to welcome new people who are curious about craft. And we think that we create a very friendly space to explore craft. So those who are with us who'd like to know more about the JRA, we'd love to have you introduce yourselves at the end of the program, just by using the chat box, or you can give us your hand in the frame. We'd love to have you just talk for a minute or two about you and get to know you a little bit, because we are only as strong as our organization as it is growing. And with that, I'm going to give it back to Mallory.
Thank you so much. Okay, well, I'll give you a little background here. Artomatic, as probably all of you know, is a multi-week, multimedia arts event held in the DC area. I'm pretty sure it's the largest one held in our area. It was started in 1999, and it's in 1 to 3 year interludes depending on the availability of a space. They look for an office building generally that has the systems in place, HVAC and plumbing, but is basically empty so that hundreds and hundreds of artists can have a presentation there. So it's not easy to find those spaces at all. We started participating as sponsors in 2009, and we are happy to recognize outstanding craft artists, which makes up, believe it or not, a sizable chunk of their presenters. This is the first year that we're doing this online. So please bear with us if it's a little rough. We're kind of winging it here. Jamie Ann is a miracle worker, but most of us in my age group were like, what are you talking about? So tonight I'm going to introduce 3 of our 6 jurors who are all immensely qualified. I added up the number of years people have been in the craft world. It's over 2 centuries. So they're very, very qualified. And they will present 9 awards. The winners will receive a year's membership for the JRA. And if they're already members, which a few are, then they can gift that membership to somebody else. And they will also receive a packet with publications and what we're calling JRA swag. We would love to give the winners a great big fat check. Nothing would make us happier, but this is not, unfortunately, the year for that. So those of you who are winners, I would strongly recommend you get involved with the JRA. I think selling art, or kind of selling anything really, is all about relationships. And the longer you're in it and the more involved you are, you will find your sales go up and your life will be immensely enriched. I can promise you, this is a great group of people who are educated and well-traveled and friendly, and you just couldn't ask for a better group of people. So one of our stars is Miss Rania Hassan. Rania was a winner years ago for her fabulous fiber, and I do mean fabulous. She does fiber that's combined with painting. Her next installation opens this September at the Krieger Museum. Not too shabby. In October, she's doing an outdoor public art project, a monument to women titled Marker on Connecticut Avenue, pretty much the main street in Washington, to extend the Smithsonian's American Women's History Initiative onto DC streets. So she is doing large-scale site-specific jobs now, which is not at all what she was doing, years ago when we first met her. So she's come a long way, and she's a real star in the craft world now in DC. So Rania, you're up.
All right, thank you for the introduction, Mallory.
You're welcome.
So first up, we have RHODA BAER. She comes to glass with a background in photography, and besides her expert use of glass as a medium, it's thrilling to see how she uses light and angles and color to emphasize the shadows in her work.
Beautiful.
And Jamie Ann's showing us some of her work on the screen. Congratulations, RHODA, on the first award tonight, and also the first glass artist on our list.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Love that.
I want to thank the JRA and the judges and Mallory for this honor. I'm very touched.
That is gorgeous. I love it.
Nice to see you, Rhoda. That's great. Congratulations.
Nice to be here. Thank you.
Beautiful.
Next up, we have Hilary Steele. Hilary Steele is an artist specializing in weaving and resist dyeing. And she uses traditional techniques to make gorgeous wall installations. We looked through a lot of glass artists, so it was refreshing to see a fiber artist in the mix, especially doing work as great as this. Congratulations, Hilary, on your award.
It's hard to tell scale here because there are no dimensions, but I know this is an enormous piece.
Hillary, tell us about it.
Hilary's muted if you want to speak.
Unmute yourself, Hillary.
I just did. So
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate this. It is quite a large piece, I think. I'm working off the top of my head here. It's about
Big.
80 by 90, something like that. I'd have to go look at my notes. But it's quite large. I make it in sections, so it breaks down and goes pretty flat, except for the frame. It's got a handmade frame. My husband does woodwork, and in the last number of years, we've been collaborating, and he's been making beautiful frames for my pieces, so they're pretty special as well. The piece is called Tells, and I have a tendency to work large, and can't seem to quite break out of that. I don't know what I'm going to do with all these very large pieces. But Tells, it's an older piece of mine, and it really refers to a tell is an archaeological mound and underneath that mound, there's remnants or evidence of ancient places. So that's where the title comes from. I tend to travel quite a bit, and I made that after a trip to Israel and Jordan some years ago. And it's also really represents all of us. So I worked around the color wheel on that piece, because we all really have so much, very much in common, more than we stop to consider and talk about. So it's kind of a universal piece for all of us, I guess was my thinking when I made it. So, and if you check my website, there's other large pieces that are more current. And I have a background, I've had exceptional teachers along the way, many of them from other places. So I study with traditional craftspeople, and that goes back to the early 1990s in West Africa. And I've been in the Americas quite a bit as well. And I've been in Mexico for the past, studying deeply since 2006, and still am continuing that, but I couldn't go this year. So I owe a big debt of gratitude to traditional craftspeople, and I like to take what I learn and interpret it, because I'm a contemporary artist, certainly, but I teach about these traditions as much as I can.
I think I read somewhere that the last Artomatic you participated in was in 2000, so that was 20 years ago.
Wow.
And I had a very, very large piece in there at that time too. Yep. Oh.
Yeah, beautiful work.
Fun to be back. Thank you.
Great.
All right, and our next artist is Laura Lukashevsky. She creates installations and sculptures. Oops, I keep losing my screen. Okay, she creates installations and sculptures from porcelain and stoneware. Her work ranges in scale from tiny sculptures to larger installations. It's fun seeing how she uses a material that's typically rigid to create her curvy three-dimensional lines. Congratulations, Laurel, on your award.
Thanks, Rania. I'm always grateful to the JRA for being such amazing. Can you all hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Being such amazing supporters of all of us here in the Washington, D.C. area, especially. I think that it just means so much to us that we have such a great community of people who continually support the arts. The pieces that I decided to put up for Artomatic this year were actually works that were supposed to be in a show called Suspended that was part of, well, was supposed to be part of NCECA this year in Richmond. And it was one of the shows that NCECA had accepted. It was a proposal that I had done with a couple of other artists. And so when our show got canceled, we were really disappointed, and I've had these pieces hanging in the studio ever since. And when Artomatic came up, I thought, well, this is one way I can possibly share these pieces. And that I've always, for those of you that know my work, I really like to try and push the boundaries of clay and test its strengths and sort of what it can and can't do. So the chains I thought were really interesting, and I wanted to incorporate them into some of my other sculpture as well, and started hanging things from the chains. And you know, the chain itself is such a great metaphor for so many different things in life, whether it's binding or linking, and I was thinking a lot about that as well. So it was a really good opportunity. Artomatic is certainly a good opportunity to share my work, and I'm just really thrilled that JRA noticed it and continues to support us. You all are always so great to those of us in the studios. We're in Mount Rainier and stuff, so I am grateful very, very, very much. So thank you.
I love the piece on the wall behind you.
Oh, well, thank you.
And that's one of yours too, yeah.
And isn't that chain something like 6 feet long? It's not like a wearable necklace.
No. Yeah, it's basically, it's about 6 feet. I think it's like 89 inches, 90 inches. So yeah, it's basically a necklace for the wall. A giant's necklace. But I've had a lot of fun with it, and I expect that I'll play around with it a bit more.
Great. Everybody's walls should have necklaces, right? Okay, our next presenter is Norman Mitchell. Norman brought me into the JRA 20 years ago, so I feel very bonded to Norman. He's a retired dentist. He's a past president of the JRA. And along with his wife, Sandy, who was an art historian, art major in college, they have chaired numerous events through the years. International trips, planning and nominating, just a million different things. And they are serious lifetime collectors of craft. So I give you Norman Mitchell.
Thank you. I'll try not to be too serious. Thank you, Mallory. And welcome artists and art lovers. The first person I'd like to talk about is Michael JANIS. Michael comes from, yay for Michael. Michael comes from an architectural background. His work with powdered glass and enamels create magical imagery, and now also social commentary, which I think this piece illustrates. His artistry is superb, and with pleasure I award him the James Renwick Alliance Award in Excellence in Craft Art. Michael, it's my pleasure.
Thank you, Norman, and Mallory and all at the JRA. I mean, it really is an honor to be part of this event, and it's always been an honor to be part of the Renwick Alliance. I mean, it's a great organization. I really like the fact that they are working hard at supporting artists and supporting craft artists. For those of you who don't know me, I'm one of the directors at the Washington Glass School, and we work in glass, and a lot of what we teach and encourage people is to find their voice and to tell their story through that medium. And I think that's what the Renwick Alliance is really about, is supporting and giving visibility to these different voices and how they express a story in their mediums. It's also, since I looked through and I was actually able to navigate the Artomatic artist pages to see other artists, there are a lot of glass artists there, which always gets me excited. And I think it's a strong representation. And I think it is a medium that is finding even more strength as it goes on. And there's great company that I'm in. And it's nice to know that the Glass School is pushing the message forward in our area. I'd also like to say we have some new people. One of them is an artist showing at Artomatic, Terry Bailey. She has some great storytelling in her work. So it is kind of nice that the generations are going to be passing on and bringing up a new crowd that'll be telling different stories with different voices. The piece that you selected in the showing here for this exhibition is a very large piece. It's about, each panel is 20 by 30. So the whole thing is 40 by 60. So it's a sizable piece. And I do like using the powders to create portraiture, but I also want to create an emotional story and something that draws the viewer in, so that it isn't just about the surface beauty. Although, since I'm using a medium that has the ability to be pretty, I like to exploit it and say that it can be a story that's a little bit more compelling, but it also has something that just is a visual treat besides. It is something that piece is one of the ones that I've been working on recently that have been pulling away from just the pure beauty of the object, but you know, it is something that I go back and forth, and as any artist will tell you, every direction you go in, you can always return to and explore in a different way. I want to thank again the Renwick Alliance. You guys are great, and I'm happy to be part of the Artomatic event this year. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's our pleasure. Thank you. Our next awardees are John Littleton and Kate Vogel. John's dad actually is the father of modern studio glass. All glass artists owe Harvey a debt of gratitude. And Kate and John have taken it further, and their work has grown in more than scale. The size of their work adds a certain majesty and is always true professional craftsmanship. I am honored to present them with this award from the James Renwick Alliance, and please give your sister Maureen all of our regards.
We will, we will.
So first, we would just like to thank the James Renwick Alliance for recognizing a body of new work that we're making. There's something that's really, I don't know, it's really important to get feedback that's positive when you do something new. And for us, this was a pretty drastic change, both in scale and just the whole look. I mean, it feeds on and pulls on all the work we've done in the past. But for those of you who've known our past work, you might have looked at this and go, are you sure that's John and Kate?
We've worked together for over 40 years and we usually keep a couple of series going. So this series has been really exciting for us.
And for us,
I love this series. Love this series.
Thank you, Tim. Tim has been a really big champion for us. And you're the reason why we applied, Tim, because you do such a fantastic job of pushing things on social media, or I might not have even realized Artomatic was happening. So thank you for that.
Listen, when I saw you on the list, I was like, oh my God, they got ringers in here. All right.
Yeah. So these new pieces are exciting for us also because it gives us a chance to explore and to really express some of our interests, which are the intersection of art and science. And it also, it pulls on some of the concepts that we've used in other pieces and takes it in a different way.
So adding light and a computer program to give it a time sequence gives it a new aspect for us. The scale, of course, and the layering is kind of our idea of that mystery that lies within. It could be an origin, it could be a potential, any number of things. And then the steel that connects it is that idea of bringing different parts together to make a whole that's more than just an individual part.
We've used some of the pieces very much the way we look at the night sky. If we see a constellation, we connect the dots between those individual stars. Those lines aren't there, but we come to know that constellation based on a configuration that we were taught as a child and shown when we look at the sky. We also have 2 children who work at SpaceX, so that might have a little bit to do with it as well.
Well, thank you again, and
yes,
it's a real honor to be recognized.
Beautiful work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for participating, guys.
Yeah.
The next artist is Bob Trotman. Bob's work is steeped in the tradition of medieval religious carvings, wood-carved ship mastheads, and commercial figures outside of shops in the 19th century. But he satirized that with ironic statements about power in his superbly carved wooden sculptures. And I salute Bob on behalf of the James Renwick Alliance and award him the James Renwick Prize in Excellence in Craft Art. Thank you, Bob.
A shame you couldn't be here with us.
Yeah, that's in absentia.
Yep. Okay, our next presenter and juror is Clemmer Montague. Clemmer is also a past president of the JRA, as was her late husband, David. They received our highest award, called the One of a Kind Award, for their just incredible contributions to the JRA over the years. Clemmer was a career Air Force officer. She's been a travel agent, and she is an extensive world traveler. And I've never met anybody who has the memory of artists that this woman has. It's just amazing. She's been a lifetime collector of various categories of art and craft over decades. I give you Clemmer Montague. Clemmer, are you with us?
Unmute, babe. Get unmute, Clemmer. Unmute. J-Man, you better unmute Clemmer.
I asked her to unmute. She'll have to just click the button. She was attempting. I think try it one more time, Clemmer. I think you just missed it.
It won't be red. There we go. Oh, nope. There it is. You got it.
Okay, I think Tim did that with overriding.
Oh, I did not. I can't do it from here.
I'm doing 3 awards in excellence to artists. Sharon Parker is 1, Patrick Collentine and Susan Larson, and they're new to us, and Edwin Timmers, who we've all known forever. I'll first talk about Sharon Parker. In 2001, a well-known supporter of North Carolina craft and collector Lisa Anderson organized a craft study tour for the James Renwick Alliance, North Carolina. One stop was in Raleigh, and I think it was the Art Center. And I went into a room where I saw this fabulous colors, and it looked like they had a great depth to them. I was not at that time familiar with hand felting, and this is what I saw when I walked in. Then I met Sharon, and I knew exactly why she was doing what she was doing over the years. She later joined the JRA when she was on a trip that I organized to Philadelphia, and she roomed with Mallory Lawson. You know, Mallory Lawson, you know, when she has an idea, you better watch out because it's going to get done. She originated the idea of a craft show for James Renwick Alliance artist members. And every year, Sharon has taken part in that activity, driving from Raleigh, North Carolina, and spending the weekend with Mallory. Her work has become classic. It still has the vibrance, the originality, and the dynamicism as she had when I first saw her work. She is a JRA member, well worth this special recognition. Sharon.
Thanks very much. I should make one slight change in the last 3. My name has 2 R's, so Sharon is spelled very strangely.
I apologize. That's my fault. Thank you, Sharon.
No problem. I'm now in Durham, North Carolina, so I send greetings, and I have the piece that was on the screen behind me. And for those who aren't, all right. And for those who aren't familiar with handmade felt, it's believed to be the oldest textile technique dating to the Stone Age. And it relies on what happens naturally, the shrinking and locking that wool does in hot water. But I managed to make it more labor intensive than that. I'll start with a few basic dyed wools and comb them to get a large range of shades of color. So I'm like a painter who mixes his palette. Then I layer all that wool and add all kinds of different yarns and sometimes silk. Felt all that together in the hot water, but then I can't stop there. I make more pieces of felt and sew them together. So more onto the surface. Whatever I can do to make it a really long, drawn-out process. I'm trying for a really rich surface. Imagery comes from often water. I lived next to a river for 17 years. And also, like Clemmer, I love to travel, and the imagery of the Danube sunset piece behind me is based on photos I took as the sun was going down on the river and the reflections were changing every minute. So I watched and took photos of the Danube as they got dark. Thanks very much.
Congratulations.
Here's a piece of Sharon's work, which we just happen to have on our walls. It's a small piece because there was no space left anywhere. The next 2 people we don't know. They're from Chico, California, which is somewhere in the northern part of California. It is east of the Mendocino National Forest and about 100 miles north of San Francisco. This is Patrick Collentine and Susan Larson. Now, when I looked at their work online, I couldn't tell if this were one person or 2 people, but they basically do 2 different kinds of things. They work with light, photography, glass, textiles, and new medium from everything that you can find. Now I'm going to let Patrick and Susan talk about their work because I found it very fascinating, very interesting, and each one has a very different perspective of how to use glass and gases. Here you are.
Well, thanks. We're so excited to be joining the JRA. This is a new experience for both of us, and I want to start out by saying Chico is the home of Sierra Nevada BAER and Orient and Flume Art glass. So we have a long tradition with glass here in Chico. And but it was. I want to also thank Tim Tate for posting that interview with Adriana Barango that brought me to the JRA.
Yeah, and then I will say just a little bit about our work. We kind of bridge the craft medias, a little of sculpture, a little of textiles, and a little bit of glass. And we've found ourselves to be kind of strange in the world. Nobody knows quite how to categorize us. But I think finding the JRA was really exciting for us, and to see the work that is happening out there. We're kind of out here in California. We don't always see what happens there in the East Coast.
Well, we have a very vibrant art community here in Chico, but it's so nice to be able to connect to another art community like we've done in other cities like Seattle and Portland and Murano for that matter. And it's just really exciting to get to know everybody and to be amongst this group. We're just so humbled by the company that this award represents to us.
But tell us about your work.
Well, we're exploring filtered light is where we begin with the neon, and that is put within a sculptural form, which is kind of a formalizes thing, the circle within the square. And we are exploring layers of transparency and opacity by using fabric and paper, handmade papers. And this is kind of our way of creating color and texture and illusion. And then the neon, it kind of brings that magic of illumination.
The ephemeral light of quality. We were talking a little bit before this about how, in a sense, all of us use Photoshop and layers of transparency and bringing in filters. And that's something that we're doing in the three-dimensional way, is bringing in handmade Japanese paper and then layering them over the perforated steel. And it just gives you this, it's almost like a printing technology with the graduation of color that you see. So this is very fresh work for us. We're really super excited, and it's nice to have other people connect to it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're so grateful.
The next person to present.
That's it. That is it. That's our time.
Edwin Timmers.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're not done. Sorry.
Okay. This is an interesting story about Edwin Timmers. A few years ago, I planned a trip to Amsterdam, and you know, being very energetic and wanting to present as much of the country as possible to our travelers and to the James Renwick Alliance members, I was able to get the ambassador and his wife to sponsor a cocktail party for us and talk about the trip. Well, when I got there, there was this guy who I thought I knew, but I wasn't sure, and I wasn't sure why he was there. And then I found out he was a Dutch-born American artist and the co-founder of the Washington Glass School. We thought he had come in and what do you call it when you burst in on somebody's party? But he was actually there doing a lot of good for us. But he is the co-founder of the Washington Glass School. He's been recognized as one of the early green or environmental artists working mostly with recycled glass. We wanted to create a special award for him because of his use of recycled materials and promotion of the environment. Just ask Chris Shea, who's used Edwin's recycled glass as seats in his chairs. Timbers' sculpture work is sustainable design and have been widely exhibited in many galleries and are part of many public collections, including many in the Washington, D.C. areas. So Edwin, take it over.
Hi, well, thank you so much, Clemmer, and thank you for the James Renwick Alliance. It's such an honor to be nominated here. I remember that party at the ambassador's house. That was that was a good party. Yes. I'll talk a little bit about the work. The picture you just showed was a piece that I made, I think it's about 1.5 years ago, and it basically talks about the way we build our cities and the way we live in our society, and how it relates to our environment and how it relates to how we use up our environment in our daily lives. And I wanted to, and basically I got to say that the past few months being locked down with the COVID pandemic has really sort of like made me reassess and made me review how strong that even is, because our society has changed so much in this short period of time, and everybody's got a good look at, you know, what, whether the way that we live together is the way that we're gonna, you know, go forward living together. And it's, I find it very interesting to see how society has sort of been taken apart. And I feel like that's sort of what I do with my work too. And in that piece, you see, you know, lots of patterns of recycled objects or objects that should be or could be recycled, cast in recycled glass, and then sort of emanating from the backdrop of the cityscape, the skyline. And sort of in a view of like how an archaeologist from the future might have a dig underneath the city and what they might come up with. That was my thought behind that piece there. And yeah, I mean, I've been part of Artomatic. It's a little odd to see it all online, but it's great to have a larger audience, and it's so nice to see everybody from around the country now involved. So that was a nice surprise. And yeah, great to be here.
Thank you.
I think that's it, Clemmer, right, for you?
That's all of mine. Thank you.
Okay. Well, our jury wanted to just do a shout out to 3 of our JRA committee members who just happen to be really exceptional artists. All 3 of them wanted to recuse themselves and not be talked about and not participate, but they've been so great. We've been meeting every week on a Zoom meeting on a regular schedule. And the jury was just unanimous, and we want the 10th slot to go to our 3 artist committee members. And they are Rebecca Ravenel, Chris Shea, and Tim Tate. So I know you're embarrassed. I know you don't want the attention, but too bad. You just deserve it. So I'm going to just give you all a little background about these 3 exceptional artists and just hear a little bit from them. Rebecca comes from a seriously talented artistic family. I just happen to have known her parents, and they are off the charts amazing. She grew up in DC and has taught classes for both children and adults in ceramics and other media. She's been associated with the Torpedo Factory for years and years and has been a valued JRA board member for years and years. So I give you Rebecca Ravenel. Rebecca, where are you, dear?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I didn't know I was supposed to say anything, but as always, I mean, anything I do with the JRA is a great experience. And I did know some of the artists who got awards tonight, but I didn't know others. So this has been a real treat. And you know, going online is kind of tragic in one way for a lot of artists, but it also has really expanded the JRA scope. So we're getting people from all across the country, and that's been a real treat. So thanks for acknowledging me. I've really enjoyed working on this Artomatic project.
Good, good. I love animals, so I love your new pieces. They're just beautiful.
Thanks.
Okay, Chris Shea is a master of metal. Fabulous, fabulous, gorgeous metal. He does furniture and architectural metalwork. I'm the proud owner of 2 pieces myself. Great to work with him. His studio is outside of DC. He's in the Renwick Permanent Collection, the Fuller Craft Museum, Woodson Art Museum, Houston Center for Contemporary Craft, National Ornamental Metal Museum, Society of Arts and Crafts in Boston, and on and on. So Chris, would you like to say a few words?
I think he was smart and didn't come on.
Where's Chris?
I think he was unable to make it.
Oh, really? Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay. Well, I hope you all will look at his posting on Artomatic and his website. He just does phenomenal work, really masterful medal. Last but not least, Tim Tate, a real giant in the glass world. I've decided your school should be called Washington Glorious Glass School.
We'll think about it.
Tim is co-founder of the Washington Wonderful Glass School. He has an upcoming show in Venice with Al YY. It's not too shabby. He's a Fulbright Scholar from 2012. He's in the permanent collection of the Smithsonian American Art Museum, the Mint Museum. He's done public commissions for the Library of Congress, Vanderbilt University, NIH. I don't know when you sleep. I looked at your website and the list of things you've done is like for 10 people. I can't even imagine how you have a life outside of work.
I only sleep Christmas Eve. I know most people here, you don't need to hear me, and I think that Mallory ran the committee, so if you really want to give some thanks, put that to Mallory, who headed this whole committee.
Well, you're the one who brought me into it, so it's all you.
All right. Enough self-congratulations. All right. Michelle, where are we now?
Well, I'm going to hop on for a moment. And I would like to second what Tim has said. I almost called him Michael, of course, because his name says Michael on there. I'd like to thank Mallory for all of her leadership in this program. And I also just wanted to quickly share that all of our awardees have been posted on our website. So I'm going to do a quick screen share so that everybody can see the work of our committee, but then also all of the wonderful awardees from this evening. So here we are. This is linked onto our homepage, and here's the work of our committee members, Rebecca Ravenel, Chris Shea, and Tim Tate. So thank you, everyone who has participated. I also want to let you know that we have some upcoming events in our very near future. On the 2nd, we have a Philadelphia trip. I think I saw Albert Leacoff on the call, which is pretty exciting. He's the former director, yes, of the Center for Art and Wood, and we'll be visiting there. We also have some more Artomatic events coming up. So every Wednesday for the next 3 weeks, you can see our Artomatic events. The one coming up this Wednesday at 7 p.m. is about the history of art and craft in Washington, D.C. So Mallory, if you want to go ahead and give our final last words, and then I think we'll be inviting people to say hello if you'd like to.
I just want to thank everybody for participating, thank my committee, thank the jurors, thank the artists. I know doing this takes a little effort to get dressed. I'm in my slippers, you know. It's a miracle that this has all gone so smoothly, because this is all brand new to us. But just thank all of you. The artists are extremely talented this year. We were so excited that there were so many really, really fine artists in Artomatic. You just never know, because it's an unjuried show, so you never know what's going to come up. Some of it is perfectly horrible, but this year it was just a wonderful group of craft, especially in the glass world. My guess is Mr. Tim Tate has something to do with that. But thanks for joining us, and we're happy to take questions. I hope the artists would stay for a few minutes and take any questions that people might have.
And I think we have to applaud Mallory.
Thank you, dear.
Thank you, Mallory.
It's fun for me. It's nice to have a diversion of, you know, from the quarantine. Talk about something other than the virus. I've totally enjoyed it. Thank you.
And good night. Yes, thank you.
Well, I'd like to ask a question. Rebecca, I know you've been famous for your ceramics. What made you decide to change to a different medium?
I'm not sure famous would be the word, but you know, like anything else, you just get tired of doing the same thing over and over again. So yeah, I saw somebody doing that beading, and I fell in love with it. So I had to try it. Now I'm a little bit obsessed.
I want one. Tim, how about you? You're really doing different things now than you were years ago, for sure.
Sure, yeah. So shipped the piece off to Brango Studios today to be cast over there for the next Glass Press show, which will take place at the same time as L'Estanza de Vitre Museum Show that Tina Oldnow and William Wormus are curating. And the new glass dress will be opposite that. So I couldn't be more proud to be the person on the other side of the Venetian blowers as the casters with content. So there we go.
How do you have time to run a glass school and do this very large body of work? Do you have a lot of people working with you?
I make Michael and Erwin do everything.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
He's not joking.
He's not joking.
Now, wait, can I ask a question? I want to hear from Rania more about her upcoming show.
Yeah, I do too.
All right, hi everyone. My next show is going to be at the Krieger Museum. I'm going to be activating the staircase with an installation. So no one's ever put anything into that space. So I'm pretty excited about that. It'll be a suspended piece that extends like all 3 floors. Like usually the temporary exhibits happen in the basement and then they're permanent collections on the main floor. And then upstairs are the offices. So I'll be doing a piece that connects like all 3 floors together.
At what museum?
The Krieger Museum. It's on the west end of DC, and that show is going to open September 23rd.
It's right up this street from me on Foxhall Road.
Yeah, I know where. I just didn't hear it.
Yeah.
And if you get a chance to look online, take a look at her show at the Arts and Industries Building at the Smithsonian a couple years ago. Unbelievable. I mean, when I saw it, I was just knocked out. It was spectacular. It's everything she could be on steroids, and it was beautiful and magnificent.
Thank you. It was all hand knit. Actually, this is my I'm working on my Krieger Museum piece here. I can show you what it looks like in progress.
You do all the work yourself?
Yeah, this is about 20,000 stitches right here.
Wow.
Oh my
This is how small it is.
Wow.
But it'll be extended like 3 floors. And then the threads I use are super fine. So this is one of them. It's a cone of copper thread that's super fine. I haven't even opened this one up yet. But yeah, at the Arts and Industries Building, it was about a 40-foot by 40-foot by 40-foot piece. And then I had a pile of gold leaf of about 2,000 sheets of gold leaf that interacted as people walked around it.
Wow.
Just beautiful.
Amazing.
Rania, did you say that you're also doing something with the Women's History Initiative?
Yeah.
Smithsonian, and it's an outdoor installation. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
It's an outdoor installation. It was supposed to go up in May, but because of COVID, it got pushed to October. And basically, I'm going to be at Connecticut and K Street downtown. It's the piece that the Renwick had. There was a sculpture there, I think 3 years ago when they had the Burning Man show. And then there's another artist who's in there right now. And then I'm going to replace that piece in October with my work. And basically it's a piece I'm getting fabricated out of, it'll be made out of rolled steel that's then painted. And it's going to be based off of drawings that I do of my knitting. So in like a year and a half ago, I had a solo show where I did drawings of my knitting. So like drawings of knit work. And then I took sort of similar to these. And then I took the drawings and then I turned them into paintings. And then I took the painting and I turned it into another drawing that is getting wrapped into like a cylindrical shape that's getting cut, plasma cut out of steel, and then painted and then installed. So, and it'll be 15 feet tall by about 6 feet wide. Wow. And then it ties into the Smithsonian programming for the Women's History Initiative.
Wow. So it'll be on the median there, I think.
Yeah, in the medium right in the middle of the street at Connecticut and K Street downtown.
Congratulations. Man, that's spectacular.
It's amazing.
Thank you.
I had a question for RHODA. RHODA, we didn't hear you speak too much, but I know you had an exhibit coming up at American University, and it was going to be a pretty major solo exhibition for you. And I think that's since gotten kind of pushed because of COVID. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that? Oh, take yourself off mute. Sorry. I should have prefaced with that first.
Yeah. Okay. It should have been up now, but obviously it isn't. But Jack said that it will be scheduled for either April through the summer or June through the summer, once they can work out all their programming and what have you. And basically it'll be 12 pieces of color laminated optical glass. And they're all about 18 inches high, and I've designed and had made these special pedestals for them. I'm a big proponent of slow art, and the whole, it's a big long gallery, and the whole gallery will just have 12 pieces lined up far apart from each other in a straight line. It's sort of, when you see all these pieces together in a line, it's like they're all having a conversation. It wasn't my intent when I started it, but once I started putting them all together, they all started talking. It's very strange. But do you all know what color laminated optical glass is? I start with huge chunks of very heavy, excuse me, optically pure glass, and I cut them up on diamond saws with help because it's really heavy. And then I use a lot of different cold working techniques and machines to shape each piece. And then each section that you see in my work gets glued with a very special glue, and I mix my own dyes. And each section takes 7 days to harden. So these take a long time to make. And I just like doing it. Any questions about it?
It's really impressive.
It's fun. I mean, I can't imagine a different life. And as it was mentioned earlier, I started out as a photographer, and photography and glass, I think Tim will agree with this, have so much in common. They're all about the light. And you know, without light, the glass would do nothing. And part of the way I construct these pieces is to capture the light and make it move through the pieces. I hide all these things inside that you'll never see that will reflect light and bounce light and cause colors to blend. If you ever see one in person, which I hope you do, when you walk around them, all the color disappears and comes back in the oddest way. I love showing them to children because children just think it's magic. They think the color actually leaves the glass and comes back.
Thanks, Rhoda. Does anyone have any other questions before we part for the evening?
Would any of the artists
invite anyone who doesn't have a lot of previous experience with us, who might be on this call, on this Zoom, to introduce yourselves, ask a question?
I think we've had a few people sign off. So if we don't have any other questions or anyone who would like to share anything, I think we can say thank you and wish you all a wonderful weekend. It was wonderful to have everyone here. And
I think there is someone, this person, B.
Barbara. Hi, Barbara.
B. Sahil would like to, Sally.
Barbara Sally.
S-A-H-L-I. He just flagged himself.
Yeah, let me,
are you on?
There you go.
There we are. I was wondering whether you could send around a list of the website addresses for folks whose work we've seen today.
yeah, that's a great question. So in the chat box, I've actually put a link to the top 10 is what we're calling it, of craft and Artomatic. And on that page, everyone's website is already linked. So you should be able to see all the websites there along with images in case you've forgotten someone or you've, I don't know, mixed people up in your brain or something like that. They'll all be there. And that's actually linked now to our homepage. So you should see it on the homepage as well.
Great.
So on our homepage, you'll find it. Unfortunately, the chat will disappear very quickly. So unless you want to take a photo of it or something like that, but it will be on our homepage.
Screen grab.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good question. We want to make sure you have it.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, everybody. Good job.
Hey,
And
thank
we'll
you
do it
so very much. Really
pretty close to
appreciate
an
this.
hour.
Nice seeing everybody.
Congratulations to all of our winners.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Have an excellent weekend.
Enjoy Artomatic.
You too. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Blast with it.